Hi everyone, welcome back to Katarina's Garage. My name is Katarina Lloyd, and this is my '81 Ford Mustang. This car was actually my first car, and I am going to go into why or why not have a foxbody as a first vehicle, especially like when you're 16, because actually this question was posed to me on TikTok, and well, I'm answering it now. So the thing is, fox bodies can be actually a decent first car. They're pretty reliable overall, although depending, because like there are carbureted ones can be a little finicky. Don't get me wrong. I've had my fickle ones with both my fox bodies. I have a Capri over there. I have the Mustang here, and you know, as well as there's some other things as well. But for overall though, like if you're okay with tinkering a little bit on your car here and there, it's not so bad. But if I left this thing completely stock, I wouldn't have really had to do much to it. But because I've modified it, that's why at times it's had some reliability troubles. And that's mostly, again, my own fault with incorrect tunes, or even with the, oh, I can't think of it. Oh yeah, and then when I actually did the throttle cable bracket on the carburetor, I did it the wrong way, and it actually was making the cable bind, and it kept fraying on me. So, but yeah, let's just go over what makes this potentially a good or bad first vehicle. Even first project car for that matter, because they make a fantastic project car. So, the one thing is with these fox bodies, there's a lot to look out for, like rust or whatever else. This one actually happens to be a very, very clean body overall. And this one actually has a bit of an interesting motor under the hood. It's the original motor, but it's, you know, something you don't see very often because it was only made for about 3 or 4 model years. And, you know, like this one, I put an 8.8 in this thing. I have a T5 manual, and I have the 200 inline 6 under the hood. Now, these things are actually fairly comfortable. A lot of, like I said, modifications you can do to these. If you get an early one with a 7.5, it's literally just a bolt-in job for an 8.8 with a limited slip. It's very nice, and you can get 8.8s for actually really cheap. Doing you know, the swaps can be a pain in the ass when it comes to like the automatic to a manual. But yeah, hang on just a moment. I just need to grab my keys. All right, and now when we come inside the car here, you'll see just how simplistic it is, because there's not a lot to these, and especially these early ones. They're a little simpler than some of the later ones with fuel injection, but again, it depends on what you're doing. Now, people will say that these are a bad car for winter, and with an open rear diff, I'd actually agree. But with a limited slip diff, as long as you have proper throttle control, they're actually pretty good. So, yeah, but, like, it's a very simplistic dash. You've only got a few gauges. This thing doesn't even have air conditioning, and, you know, it's just a very simple car overall. And, of course, I got the manual transmission over here. It's a T5 out of an 83 V8 Mustang. But let's look under the hood, and I'll show you some problem areas as well that you'll want to look for too if you're deciding that you might want to get one of these as either, like I said, your first car, your first project, or just looking at one of these in general. So if we pop the hood here, you'll see the good old 200 inline 6 under the hood, which this is actually a great choice for getting a fox body for cheap, and at the same time getting good fuel economy and ease of access, because look at how easy it is to work on it, right? You've got so many areas where you can look, and then also, like, so something that happens with these is on the shock towers you'll get rust. Mine's actually starting to over here, so I need to just take the wire wheel to that. I just haven't done it yet. But you know, very simple. A lot of, like I said, a lot of stuff you can do to these. Like, not this motor in particular. It's kind of annoying with, like, the intake and stuff like that being one piece of the head. But if you don't want to build one of these motors and you just want to go to a V8 or even a V6 or a 4-banger, so it's a bit of work, but you have to swap the K-member out down there. And then once you swap the K-member out for a V8 K-member or 6-cylinder or 4-banger K-member, poof, you get a really, really good car for cheap. and you have a V8 in tow. Now, I have spent the money to retain that inline six. I'm a little stubborn that way. I love that little motor. And that's the one thing where, because you'd be surprised even, because this thing has an exhaust on it too. I haven't started it today. It's not plugged in, so it's decently chilly out here. Like, not too bad, but I've been out here for almost an hour at this point because I was been playing around with my Capri over there, but she's been being a real pain in the ass. I think the Capri is having a lot more issues, but still very easy. And even to start these things too, when they're actually dialed in properly, carburetor that has not been plugged in, it's maybe -5 out here Celsius. I just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it sometimes takes a second because again it's not plugged in, but 1, 2, 3. There you go, just like that. And now we'll be plug in and start very easily, like the carbureted ones. When it's really, really cold, only if it's plugged in properly to the block heater. But you can just listen to how cold it is. But yeah, and the thing is, though, the downside to the box bodies is some of the issues you're going to run across. As an example, traction can be a problem. I've already outlaid that. With an open rear diff, with a limited stuff, I've never had very many traction issues whatsoever. It's because it's not a very long car, a very wide car, it's easy to get these to slide out a bit. But like I said, if you have proper throttle control, it's totally fine. And it's a perfect car to learn on too. But if you're wanting to get a V8 one, I would suggest getting a V8 one that's prior to 83. Reason being, all those ones had 2 barrels, they had about 140 horsepower. It's not a lot of power, like I said, for your first vehicle. There we go. I just didn't want that to rev too high. But yeah, so for your first vehicle, doing it that way actually isn't so bad. And V8 cars are actually, like, they're not bad. They can be a little hard on fuel, especially if you don't have like an overdrive. But if you find one of the early ones with like an S-Rod as an example 4-speed, doing a T5 swap isn't so bad. It's basically just like a bolt-in job. I don't believe there's anything really different. Like, you can still retain stock clutch and stuff like that too, and you can have better gear ratios on a 5th gear. It's a win-win that way. And you can pick up T5s for between $300 to $500. There's other T5s that can cost a lot more than that, but I'm talking used T5s, and, you know, that sort of thing. Like, this is a used T5, it was not rebuilt, and yeah. But anyways, once this thing was warmed up, let's take you guys for a drive, and I'll show you actually how good this thing is, and how good these can be when you have them set up just right. Let's look at one moment. Alright, and now I'm just driving along here. Ooh, little slick. Actually, let's go left. Yeah, no, let's go right. Ooh, there we go, sliding a bit. There we go. So yeah, just a little bit of throttle control, but then I can. It's very fun. It's very fun. There might not be enough. Well, let's see. Roads are dirty enough. The car very easily right there. So it's one of these things, because somebody was asking me earlier, it's like, hey, how easy is it to slide your car? Or not asking, but saying that they were incredulous about how easy it is to slide the car. I just did it right there. You heard like the axle hop and everything. So yeah, it's just one of these things, and it doesn't take a lot of power to do that. Like, this 209.6 makes about 100 wheel horsepower and maybe 200 foot-pounds of torque. It's not exactly a super powerful engine in that regard, but it can still, you know, roast the tires if I want it to, just like that. But yeah, and that's kind of the challenge. Now, with an automatic, you'd be less likely to actually do what I just did. In fact, with the automatic, it never did axle hop, period. I ran I had the automatic with this carb setup and exhaust and everything, all just like this, for a little while. But you know, and it's fun. And then, but the thing is, you can also just drive it so docile like this, right? And I've driven this thing through all kinds of weather, torrential downpours, blizzards, all this different stuff, and yet it's totally fine. And this thing, you know, and a lot of Fox bodies are like this. You get a V8 or any manual Fox body that has a decent amount of torque. Like 4-bangers, I don't think will do that unless it's one of the turbo models and you have it spooled up with the turbo. But, because, fun fact, there were turbo 2.3 Fox bodies as well. And they are just a load of fun. You know, I've never actually driven one, but I know they're like super light. So, and that's the one thing about these cars. They're very light. So actually for winter, they're not too bad. With an open rear diff, you're going to spin a bunch and on like snow and ice and whatever, or even in the rain, it'll spin as well quite a bit. But with the limited slip, I have not very many traction issues unless there's like a ton of ice on the road like you saw, you know, when I started this portion of the video. But, you know, and like I can drive it hard, I can drive it, you know, not hard, I can have just fun with it, and it's fun, it's fine, it's great. And yeah, well actually, let's just, because that's just a quick little drive here, let's just go back from whence we came. Let's talk, I gotta figure out the whole situation with my Capri. I was working on it earlier, and well, what I thought would work actually didn't work, so there's a problem there. But you know, besides the point, that's not the reason why I'm doing this video, so I'm not really going to talk about that one. But even like, you know, because there's, again, like I can drive on like sheer ice, I can drive in a bunch of snow, I can drive in rain. I am totally comfortable with driving this car, but I'm also very used to the car. So as an example, say you're 16 years old and you're looking for, you know, maybe it's just a cool car to have as your first car, and maybe you're thinking about a Fox body. Like, there's a couple things to consider, and like I mentioned before, it's, while there is a lot of aftermarket support, a lot of 16-year-olds aren't going to know how to handle the kind of power that these things have. And not that there's more powerful cars that are newer, 100%. Your average Econobox would smoke your average Fox body that isn't built. But the one thing is that what those cars have that this doesn't, traction control, ABS, all this different stuff to help you, these don't. There was ABS as an option. It was kind of rare though in like the 4Is like mine. I'm not sure if it was ever available in the Aeros or not. I would probably say yes it was, but again, I don't know Aeros that well. Like, you know, I'm driving down this road here and I'm having no troubles at all, and I'm doing the speed limit, which is only 40 kilometers an hour. But still, it's one of these things where, you know, it can be okay. And I forgot about the speed bump here. Ah, there we go. All good. Because, yeah, I don't very often drive through this little neighborhood here. Sometimes I do, but when they were doing construction downtown, you had a detour through here. And like saying, this is another corner where I can go like completely sideways in this corner because it's dirty. You know, very dirty. And again, this is just a little inline 6 under that hood, making maybe 100 horsepower to the wheels and maybe 200 foot-pounds of torque. But it also weighs like 2,700 pounds. So this thing is very, very light. It's one of the lightest Fox bodies ever produced. The only ones that were lighter were 4-cylinder ones, and in particular, 4-cylinder like 79s were the lightest of the Fox bodies ever. So, yeah. And if you got a manual, it was even lighter, because the automatics were quite heavy, you know, with their torque converters, especially holding, you know, 8+ liters of fuel. But I don't know. It's just a lot of fun with this car. And also, the thing is, when you have one of these that isn't a V8, you can have so much fun with it while likely not inducing tickets. because this car isn't, like, it's not a super fast car. It's pretty good for what it is, but it's not exactly a rocket ship at all. Like, your average V8 will smoke this thing as it sits, but yet, think about it this way though too. So this car with the inline 6, I can get as much as 32 miles per gallon with the setup I currently have. Now, I spent a lot of money to get it to that point, but when it was bone stock and when it was running right, because the stock 1 barrel carb is an issue on these inline 6s, is it got 28 miles per gallon, which is great. See, and you can see my tread marks from when I went just a wee bit sideways. It's fun, you know? But it's one of these things where that'll be gone in just a second, because that is mostly just because the road was dirty and wet and stuff, so. And you always gotta make sure that you are safe when playing with your car like that. Because I was fully in control of my car at that very moment. But there's a lot of people that, you know, because like I was trying to tell in before, is that most people that are considering like their project car as a foxbody, they usually have some driving experience under their belt, but and not just more driving experience, but also driving experience with more powerful cars too. So that's why, like, when you're considering a fox body for your first car, just keep that all in mind, that you do want to get used to it very much. And I actually suggest that you play with it, but make sure that you do it in a secluded area or whatever else. Like, yeah, should I have done what I did quite where I did it? Not really, but that's fine. It was safe. I was safe, so. But yeah, so that'll like conclude this video. So I'd really appreciate y'all tuning in to the end. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.